a time where it seems like Pat Riley was getting fleeced left and right by not making moves, he pulls off one of the biggest fleeces, in my opinion, by trading for Terry Rozier, by sending Kyle Lowry in a first-round pick. Let's talk about what this move means for the Heat and the Hornets. Now, listen, if you're new to the channel, it's your boy P.kidd. This is P.kidd Talks NBA. Let's get into the video. Right now, it looks like the Heat have now finally gotten some more scoring help at the point guard position. Now, Kyle Lowry is coming in, for most people, as a veteran champion. He brings a lot of that IQ to the game. However, he hasn't been giving you a lot lately. I think he's averaging about 8 points a game, shooting about 42% from the field. Has not been a good season in a reduced role for sure. And if you're a Heat fan, if you watch some Heat games, you've always looked at this as he'll show up in some games and then maybe you don't get anything. It's been more of a liability and an expensive one at that. By making this move for Terry Rozier, which kind of makes sense if you really think about it, with LaMelo Ball being there and the type of guard that he is, it was a lot of redundancy that they have there, and they're trying to make some moves themselves. So it's actually coming in at something that not only makes sense, but it kind of helps both teams. Sometimes it's a bit less getting more by doing less, realistically. So it's addition by subtraction for the Hornets. But for the Heat, it puts them in a totally different space. The Heat needed help. Realistically, everyone was looking for Pat Riley to make a particular move to actually shore up this roster, get another star, get another bucket rather, as opposed to always just coming down the stretch depending on Jimmy Butler to kind of get you over the hump. And we all know Jimmy Butler can get it done. He's carried them to the finals a couple times. But we also know that Jimmy Butler has limitations in his offensive game. And sometimes a player just is who he is. Jimmy does a lot. He can do a lot. He's shown you he can do a lot. But if I really needed him to continually give me a bucket, it's like he's right? We all get that. We all know exactly what I mean when I say that. And it's not to say that he's a bad player. He's just not always that bucket getter you need. But he can always be a defensive clamp. He's definitely a vocal leader. He gives you a whole lot, right? But he needs help. And at the end of the day, I like what Duncan Robinson has done. I like what Tyler Hero was doing. But Terry Rozier brings an element to that game where he's someone who can be on the floor with them and get him a bucket. At least help carry the load in those major moments. We're talking about the second and third quarters and things of that nature. While Jimmy has always been able to close out the game to some respect, I wouldn't necessarily give Terry Rozier that respect. It is something that you can see work out in their favor by at least having some high output offensively on there. Terry Rozier is also not having a bad defensive game. Now, he's not known for his defense. No one's going to give him credit for that. And I'm not going to sit there and make it seem as if he's a defensive clamp. But I'm not also going to sit here and say that he's a turnstile. He's actually improved a little bit on his defensive game. And I think that's something to really consider. Also, the simple fact that he's not, for his size rather, he's not actually a, how would I put this? He's not one of those ball-dominant guards that is useless in every other aspect. I'm saying this cautiously just because I can't find a better example. He's not Trae Young. Trae Young is a small guard who needs the ball, and elsewhere you kind of find it's a lot to desire. And I think most of the people who watch basketball get what I'm saying. Just because of his size and physical limitations, you can't put Trae Young in a lot of different situations. You catch Trae Young in a pick and roll, it's a bucket. Terry Rozier, you might have to actually fight for it. But Trae Young, he's a bucket. So I'm coming from the aspect of, although he's a smaller guard, he is someone who averages over 5 assists, so he has good vision. He is someone who's a little bigger in size, so it's not someone who's definitely going to be a pushover, and he's actually improved in that respect. And this is something that, again, the Miami Heat needed. The Miami Heat needed a different, something different from the scoring perspective. They have their shooters. And they needed someone with dog in them. Like, listen, you gotta have the dog. You gotta have some dog in you to be on the Miami Heat. Realistically, there's no punks on that team. You gotta have some fight in you. Terry Rozier brings that grit. I remember him being on the Celtics. I remember him even when he first got to the Hornets. he had that edge to him. And realistically, maybe that got overshadowed with the LaMelo Ball thing and stuff like that and other issues that the Hornets have kind of gone through. But to see him now back in a situation where he can actually be utilized in a way that contributes to a winning culture is actually kind of exciting for me. I've watched his career and I've seen what he can do on the floor, but this in itself is probably the best spot for him because we know that if he just shows up and buys into their culture, that heat environment, they're going to love him. And he's going to have the opportunity to shine because he's playing on next to a superstar that is not trying to overshadow him, but try to situate what he can do and help them get to the mountaintop. And I think this is the best situation for a player like him. But I want to hear your thoughts, man. This is Pat Riley again making a trade, sending Kyle Lowry in a first-round pick for Terry Rozier. And I think this couldn't come at a better time. He's getting 23 points per game, 6 assists, I think about 4 rebounds. He's getting someone of that caliber. Yes, he's a little older, but he's also removing a large hindrance to his cap and Kyle Lowry. He's now getting more production from that. I think it's a win-win. Do we like the fact that it's a first round pick? Maybe not. But at the end of the day, you can't sit there and give them nothing in Kyle Lowry and expect to get something back in Terry Rozier without having to sweeten the deal. That pick just put him over the edge. Now, if it's one pick, I'm happy with, and that seems to be the report. This is still kind of fuzzy. This is still being reported. These reports are being updated, which is why I actually waited to put this out because at first it was 2 picks. Now it seems to be just 1. But again, even with that being the case, if it's just 1 pick in Kyle Lowry, this is a fleece. This is a fleece. Now, the Heat got better. I think the Hornets would probably even waive Kyle Lowry. I don't even think they really wanted Kyle Lowry. They probably just wanted the pick. And now this puts them in both teams in a better position to make moves for their future. We know the Hornets are rebuilding, but the Heat have a window they're trying to capitalize on. I think this gets it done. Again, I want to hear your thoughts. Whether it's love, whether it's hate, put it in the chat. I'm actually pretty excited to see it happen. Let's see what happens. Till next time. Peace.